Again everyone, welcome back to KiwiRC. Today we've got a build video of the MD500 and we're going to walk you through some of the little KiwiRC extras on it that we have for the better experience added on top of what FLYSRC supplies. So you'll see I've got a few extra tools and bits and pieces around than usual, and let's just get into it. It's probably going to be a long wee video and we might have to split into two anyway, otherwise you might get a bit bored here and there. So first thing we're going to do is set up some lights and install the landing gear. So we'll go through the lights. What we've had pre-installed in the factory now is we've had the, I don't know if you'll see it in there, let's check it out. Give you a minute for the camera to have a play and focus. There's a U-back in there, so a step down essentially, so you can take that 22 volts from the 6 and send it down and power the lower voltage things like the 4.8s, 7.4s, 8.4, whatever the selectable voltage you want. Okay, so we've had ours pre-installed. It's hooked into the main power source along with the second speed controller for the tail. And there's instructions from FLYSRC, you can find them online, or we can do one video eventually where you remove the power supply from the L7 controller that would otherwise be powering the receiver. So you're just going to remove the positive and negative wire, not powering it from that. And you're going to power the receiver from this U-back, step everything down nicely for the light modules which are in here. Oh sorry, here it is here guys. It's a little control unit there. And you can see it's already labelled for us to plug in there where we've got our power coming from our receiver. So we've done a little bit of the job already for us at the factory, thanks for that guys. Saves us a bit of time, otherwise we just have to, you have to unsolder this, pull it apart, solder it, blah blah blah. It's just a little bit of a step we don't want to, and in fact you can see where they're spliced together there, the two. So let's carry on to the body. Another thing, just to save some time, we already had the hot glue gun out and built the tail. So we just glued the stabilizer on, stabilizers on, stabilizers on. I did have a try off the wee screws, so just tiny little things. So I'm going to leave them off at this stage and see how we go. Pre-installed light. So we're going to undo that and feed it down the tail boom. But first things we'll do is just go through the landing gear. So what I noticed pulling it out is the landing gear, the way they've drilled it, doesn't matter here, it's straight through. It's going into the front. But to screw in this one, you have to just sneak your driver down inside the body on an angle. And they've actually had drilled them, which I didn't like, with the securers for the skid itself on the outside. So what I wanted to do, of course, which I think looks better, I understand why they've done it, so you can get to it easier and so on, but in my mind they should flip around this way and change sides so we don't see that locating mechanism. Okay, but if we did just swap them around, the screw's going to try and swing around to this kind of angle, which we can't get. So I have drilled one of them out, and you're looking at the one myself, and just changed the angle of that screw hole. So it's probably made it a little bit bigger, unfortunately, but it's changed the angle. It means I'll be able to put this set on this side, of course hiding the locators. Alright, so now I've done that, we haven't done this one. So what we'll do is we'll get this one, and we've got the drill. I've already put just a tiny little fella in there, and you can test it because this is the one we want. It goes nicely through the hole already drilled there. Okay, and so now we're going to be looking in the window instead of being able to drill it this way like they have, so we can get the screw in there nicely. We're going to change it, and we're just going to change the angle. And so we're going to do, this is about where we're sticking through the window. And I'll just drill that out simply. That's what we're going to use that for now. And we find everything much easier to build once you've got some landing gear on it. So now we've drilled those on a better angle to suit what we want to do. I just install with these, already put the rail on it, line it up so you can put them in at a nice angle. Okay, and then you've got to come inside, and I don't know how well you're going to see this down here, but it locates up in here. I've already had them screwed in, of course, to do the test flight. So slide that up, then line, we've got the light pan in there, we don't want that. Line this one up too, and slide it up there. So you can see when it's home, we can see the screws through there now quite happily, and we've got control of the landing skid quite easily. So we'll flip around to do the other side, same thing. And see now we've got the locators inside there. I just think it looks a little bit tidier. So we'll do the same on the other side. I'll come over and just do it like this so you guys can hopefully see in the camera a little bit better. And again, I'm just looking inside now to locate those in that area through to that hole. And look at that, easy clip in there very nicely. So we've already got those screws out, and they're these four little self-tapping fellas here. Okay, so we're probably not going to pull these out again, so I'll be using my little bit of Loctite, and I've got my little tray. These trays are great because of the magnets here, we can't lose these tiny little things. And I go to my longer handle ones, and it is not the smallest one, but the next size. Okay, so I'll put that on there, grab a bit of Loctite, just a wee dab there. That's going to help that from coming loose. Oh, all good. Well, spillage there, no good. And in this one, nice and easy, we can just strap through. We've got plenty of room with the canopy on. So we'll hold that there and we just screw it home, which will lock that in there very nicely. And of course we've got that little bit of Loctite just screwing into the timber there. Still up nice and tight. Don't over tighten it and strip out the bit of timber. And then we'll grab another one. We'll do both the front ones because they're the easiest. If you're like me and you've got these big giant sausage fingers, these little screws are not actually the favourite thing to work with. Just a little bit, oh, a little bit generous there. It's easy to do with that liquid stuff, but it's definitely worth having. There's a lot of vibration in the aircraft there. Look at that, lovely. Of course we dropped it. Shake it out of there. Start that over again. Still got plenty of glue stuff on there. And just screw that home. And again, just going to do it up nice and tight. And I'll be careful not to strip it out, of course. Okay, and then we come to those back ones, which is just a little tiny bit more difficult. It's not the end of the world. Probably speed this up in the video for each, just show you one side and then speed the next bit up, just to keep it short. That one there. And you come this where you come through the window on the angle, and of course this is where it serves us very well to have re-drilled those holes. Otherwise, as soon as you start doing the screw up, it wants to head round behind to where you can access it. But this way, very good access, of course. And locks in, up, the top of the window. Beautiful. So, here we go. Use that shorter one. Actually, we don't need such a long one, so we might as well use the ones they supplied us. Another blob on there. Put it on to the end. And show how well you're going to see. We just put it through the window here. And just keep the angle a bit shallower to start it. And as you drive in, it'll wind up towards the top of that window there as it heads down for the locator. And again, I've got the torch over there. It's just quite a handy little thing to have. Sometimes that can really help you out. And just like one. Easy, skid's done. And we can lock these in later in the screw bag here where it's hiding out somewhere. On the table they do have little locking screws for that. So we'll get to that and we'll probably do it last. Okay, so here is the screw set and actually another lighting set, which will be the one we perhaps use for this one. Okay, we'll chuck that one away. We've got the front and the back screws, and look, see those tiny little fellas here, which I can barely hold on to for these tails. So I just decided to glue it, happy with that. So we've got them ready to go when we install the machine, and here are our little grub screws, and they'll hold the location of these once you've set that up. Remembering the MD500 is very little skid showing, it's mostly frontage. But we'll put that all away now and we'll move on to installing this tail. So what I've done is actually put, I'll turn around so you guys can see, just a bit of plastic rubbishy strip there that I can tape that light onto to pull down to the tail and get it in there nice and easy. So hence why I've got a little bit of masking tape over here. Also that's the 3M, it's the masking tape. Oh, just bump that off, but that doesn't matter. See, I just used a bit of glue, but we can put that on later, it's not a big deal. It's bound to happen. And let's put that to the side for now. And we'll undo this, which will, probably can't see, hiding behind the shell there. Just be careful obviously not to cut your wire, very small wire, so easy enough to do. And you can see they've actually given me a little bit extra length to get down the body, which is kind of them. So again, we had that, asked them to install that light at the factory. It makes sense because it's inside the original case that comes with it. Right, and now, like I said, we can grab this fella, grab a bit of tape. There's probably other ways to do it. This is the way I find it, quite easy. Just take that on there and that holds that there. Put down there, make a start for it. I'll try and circle right around for you. So you can see, I'm just going to reach in, grab it sticking out, and pull the wire through, staying clear. Now I'm going to bring it down this side. I'm going to put the lighting kit details on this side. So what we'll do now is obviously chuck that tail on, because that'll give us all our lighting position. We're not going to break that wire. So to do that, we've got some screws over here in this little bag. We've got a wee washer on them and a nice long ones, easy to identify for the tail here. And chuck them out into that magnetic bag. I'll put a little dab of this stuff on it, it goes into a nylock, so why not? Piece of something that they've made up in the factory down there at Flish to hold this. We should probably have taken that thing off the end, but we'll get to that. Don't want to get too much blue on the tail because that'll look a bit ugly. We're going to come around like that to make sure our wire's on the inside there, and I'm going to pull it underneath, and just be very careful, make sure you get that wire tight, otherwise you might have what you see if you watched our short with the A109 or AW109, whichever you want to refer to it as, and we got the tail light wire caught in the motor, so that was a bit of an opsy. Now we can just pull that tight. I'm going to feed it out of the way through here so it goes between the tail, and I'm going to paint that black later with some insulation stuff to hide the wire, and that way hopefully that'll be tucked out, and we'll keep it tight in there and it'll be nicely tucked out the way of that tail motor. A bit of the good stuff. I mean, they don't say, I guess there's no requirement to have to use that to Loctite, but it's just something I like to do on previous experiences in helicopters. I have seen things come loose. So lock that off nice and tight, it just sits perfectly there, very nice. And get it on there nice and tight. And then obviously make sure you're not going to pinch that wire, so we're not. Tighten that up, and then that Loctite will go nice for you, and make sure you're locked on there good. Okay, now it stands up right a bit better too for you. So, let's bring it around here and get rid of this bloody silly thing hanging out the front now that we've dragged that wire through. That's quite helpful just to get that started. Okay. So, next thing we're going to do is, and what we're not going to do is actually, if you're on the realistic machine, your navigation port starboard lights, green, red, whatever you want to say, are in the end of the skids. I haven't figured that one out yet. So we can't drill down these, it's too far. We can go inside these and remove and put it here. So I'm perhaps going to run a wire through here, go down in this holder and inside there, and run through the tube and out the end. But haven't quite decided, so we're going to leave those ones out and just have our tail light and our rear, the bottom strobe light there, which we will change out. Get what we've got here. So we will want to pull these out, start separating these guys. So I've already got it all plugged in there for you. What do you think? So this will be should be the strobe. Port starboard should be here. And if you want to test, of course, you can just power it up. Right, and it's easy enough to unplug and plug things around later. But we are going to be clever and see what's doing what, so we know which one to plug it into. Save ourselves that hassle. So remember, we just put it in here, and you're going to have green, a red, and your strobe, and your fast and slow strobe. So you're going to be able to figure out what ones you need. Just going to grab the battery here. And these should already be on. Okay. So obviously you can see we've got a green and a red, which we'll want here. And we'll just put a bit of tape on that so we know which ones they are, because they used to be a green and a red light, easy to tell. Now I see that they're all clear and you're not going to know until they're emitting their colour. So we know that's the green one, it's got the green wire, and this will be the red one. Okay, let's just make sure they're nice long ones, yep, because you can easily change these over. But anyway, let's do this. Two tangled up, keep them separate. Then that means obviously this one here that's not connected, where's it hiding out? That one there, that one there, and we should actually have a slow. So if I've got any batteries in this, I have indeed. Of course, the wrong controller. That won't help, will it? So we'll get the right controller in a minute. It's just on the chair there if you want to grab that for me, please. While I'll discuss the next add thing we're going to add into here, and this is going to be a little battery spire. So you don't have to rely on the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi. You're going to have that red on this one. So we haven't got the batteries in there. We're going to have to steal the batteries, see, not labelled the same either. Change the batteries out of this, chuck it in there, and flick on that LED switch, and should be able to change through the functions and see what we like. Now, so here's your tail light here, just so we've got that plugged in quite right, because the tail light is always your slow flasher. Now, not happy because it's got not a great battery power in there, so it's going to beep away at us, but we've done what we need for that, right? So we know that this one here is going to go to our tail light. So I'm going to put another piece of tape on that. That'll tell me that. And conveniently enough, it's got a little bit of white on there, so I'll know that's different. And then we can go, right, we've got a solid, we've got a strobe. Let's just flip through some of those functions and see. We'll go on that one there with that, and we'll change it to the white because we want a stronger. This would be the nose light, so we're going to add a nose light to it, aren't we? So we'll keep that there. Alright, which means we'll use this one over here as the strobe or the underbelly light there. Okay, so we'll make this thing quiet. Turn all that off. Put that on. Oh. Remember I said we're going to pull that on the other side, which means we will cross over the connection from inside the machine to the other side where it's going to sit for the chassis to get the power. The reason why I tend to load up this, generally I'm going to put it on this side because it's on the other side. So just remember, naturally in a helicopter, you're going to have the rotation fighting from the tail, fighting the rotor, which is actually going to cause a yaw effect, or a rotational effect on the body this way, which is unexpected. So generally in hover, you'll see depending on the tail side, the machine itself will be slightly hover this way or this way. So if you're going to load a side up, you want to load the opposite side from your tail. You want to keep your centre of gravities as good as you can, but when we add extra weight, we add it to this side. Also, if you can see, the machine itself's got a bit more weight on this side anyway. So we'll go ahead and we'll use one of our little extra bits and pieces that we've got here. So I've got an extra little 3M sticker. Probably going to need half of it. And have I grabbed the knife? I have not, but I've got the scissors down at the end of the table there. 1 second, guys. Just don't need quite such a large pad, so we'll cut that in half. Probably about there it is. Okay, and we can stick that on the bottom of our control unit. And then we need to figure out all our routes of all the different lights and where we want to go. And we know this one, we'll reroute it on the other side, tail motor coming down this side, LED through the top, get that out of the way we can for now. It wants to stay out of the way. Probably not, but we'll go and then this is your tail. Right. So remember, we're not going to do that left and right just yet. So I might unplug it until I figure out where we're going to go with these port starboard lights. Okay, just going to mark that one there. So I remember that that's the one we're going to be putting that light, the red one, back into. The green one's pretty obvious because we've got the green on the cable. Okay. So mounting wise, this one here is going to be my tail light that we're bringing down. Lovely jubbly. And we can just plug that in there. There's going to be a bit of extra cable, so we'll plug it all together and figure out where things run, and then we can just bundle up the extra wire length so it's not really annoying inside the canopy in there. And it's a good idea to just use cable ties and or stick blocks or whatever, hot glue, bit of super glue. I want, say it's hot glue or something you can remove, tape, whatever, just to keep it out of the way, it's not flapping around in there. Okay, which means we're going to put our, we're going to change drill bits, so a slightly larger drill bit, big enough to take this size light. So we're looking at something like perhaps that, perhaps not, maybe a bit small, and that'll definitely do it there. So I'll grab this one. I'm going to change it out. I haven't made up my mind which lighting case we'll use to carry that. So for now we're just going to install, but of course you've got options on the cases. You've got the large ones, you've got the small one. And you know what, I'm going to use the small one. It's all preference, guys. You can, use whatever lights. Just the only ones you need to make sure you use are the red and the green for the red and the green. But we had an extra little red fella in there that was hanging out, and I believe it was that one. And it's nice and close and short. It's going to go into the nose. And then we've got an extra one here. So this longer one can go to the nose. Well, we've got our tail. And we're going to go call this our little strobe light. We're going to use a little smaller, I know red on red, right, but we'll use a little smaller little thing here. Use a much smaller drill bit too, which is a bonus. So let's go back to that drill case and get the right one now that we want to use. And it's not the tiny one that's in there, unfortunately, already. So give me a look at that, see what we've got there. I think that seems we could match that one there. Oh, grab two of them. I'm going to try and drill it from the top. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to with this big drill. And you know what's a really good idea if you don't want to stuff up the paint? Put a bit of bloody tape where you're going to be drilling. Oh, we can actually drill it that way. No, you can't see that seam from inside, so you can see it if I do it into the light. Just excuse me while I look into the light there. Got one about here somewhere. Just protect a bit of paint when we drill through this. It's whether or not we're going to be able to drill this way or not. Really. So right down the guts, it's sort of usually in the middle-ish there, that between the landing gear, and you've got a nice little seam. And we're going to slow it down. Okay, we might just have to be careful. And we go into the orange. check that. Yeah, it should give me plenty of room to get down that side there. It might even be a bit big, so let's see if that one there is a bit closer to that side. I mean, that's probably a bit small. Yeah. Right, let's go through. We've got also the housing of the back of the light to get in there nicely too, so don't worry if it is a little bit big. Because that's what you're trying not to do, is come through really fast like that. Hopefully that protects your paint, which I don't know if it did or not. Looks like we've actually had a wee whoopsie there, but let's see what happens. Now we remove the tape, magic moment. Probably another good look at that. I mean that's pretty good. See? So you protected that edge of paint. You should drill that way, but I want to make sure I can get to it in the middle. So I'll probably do this in two-part video, guys, with installation of the lights and installation of the body and the rest of the setup that we're going to do. Right, so remember we wanted the little, not the long one, but the little small one, and just test fit that, we can get that through there. And you want to be able to pull it through, and the wire's a bit bigger, so you know, look at that, we've got plenty of room there. Okay, and then inside here, you've got, now I like to use hot glue for these. Simple fact is the bulbs can bugger out, they, you know, and you might need to get it out. And if you've used a two-part or even a super glue, you might have some damage there. So we'll plug the hot glue gun in, which I thought we were going to have to do this episode, but looks like we will, but we'll get the net ready before we need to use it anyway. Put that in there, turn that fella on, he's ready to go there anyway. Right. The fun part. So these go, there's actually one way they go and one way they don't. You can see that right there, the larger, it's very hard to see, but there's a larger lip for it to go onto diameter on this side than that side. So slide this over your light and you go like this, and you put a bit of the hot glue in there, that'll hold that together, and then we pull it back up through the bottom there, and we put it another bit of glue into there. So let's pull the one we're actually going to use through underneath there. So once you've done this bit, of course it's not going to come back through unless you pull it out. That's why hot glue can be always a very good way to do it. Okay, so we'll just make sure everything's not all tangled up. Got a large light here, which we'll probably end up not using. So you could go into the spotlight in the nose because you've got, but then also we've got spotlights that we put in here. So we haven't made up our mind on that. We'll come back to that one. But for now, we can get rid of them too. You can just go hang out with those fellas. In fact, you can get right out of the camera and go over there. Okay, so get that tail motor back over, cable back over this side, over here. We will, when we go in here for hot glue, we're going to dab the hot glue in there to hold that back a bit. So we've got a nice tight wire down there, it's not going to get caught in those tails. This is our one we're going to use here. This is our light. So we slide this fella up here, remembering the larger diameter cone goes in here. And that's what we've got here. So, bit of glue, that'll hold all that together. Okay, so let's see if we got enough here. Oh, I've got a screw on the floor, random one there. It's not belonging to this project though. So you can get it clear, so then we can put a bit on the bulb, and then we push this fella back on here, and that's all one little light here now. Okay, then you can choose a white one or a red one. You can just put the white bulb through without the lens. I like the lens. And I mean, typically that would be a white light, believe it or not. So there you go, something out of the box, but different than anyone else. And then we're gonna just put in right the end of that somewhere in one of these bags so they don't get glue everywhere. And we just probably put the tiniest little dab on here, and then we push it into the hole. Brilliant. Got those little cobwebs, you have to get them off later. It's best to grab that stuff on it. Cool, but there you go. Look, little light, little red on orange, hidden quite well. We like that. So, let's tail light in.
Can you
Show you guys that. So, underneath, tail. Sorry, you probably just zoomed in. I'll hold that there a little bit longer. And now we can install. What we're going to do is install this, cable tie this. We've got our longest one that's going to come up and do the nose light. Although I really quite like the way they've got that without the nose in there, nose light in there. So weigh it up. Should we put that in there or should we not? It goes in this one. Of course, your big spotlight would go on that one. Easy peasy one to do whenever you want. And so I'll do that one when I make up my mind, but it'll be the same process. And we always like to use a little cap. Like again, you don't have to, especially in here, you definitely don't have to. So we'd probably put the small red one through like we have on some of the others and just tip it through and not use the lens on that one, and it looks quite nice. And again, you can glue it in the back. But I guess we should do it, right? Because you're going to want to see us do it, so let's do it. Aren't I annoying? So we just want to be enough to poke that through. So I want another size. You know, we don't want to pull the wire through on this one. That's not going to be big enough. What did we have there? Perhaps that one there. See if that'll be enough, and you can maybe just use it to widen it a bit. I've got to turn the torch off because that's blinding me. And grab that bit of tape back, push that nicely down there, and get the centre by pushing that in. I'm trying to widen up that hole, so we've done a pretty good job at getting that one in the centre. I don't think it's quite big enough yet to poke it through. We need to perhaps clean up inside a little bit if we can reach down here, so we can. Put that off before I've taken on through. And you've got the plastic of the window too to deal with. So from there, just not quite enough to poke through yet. So we'll just widen it up. And just use it like a lemon. Just be careful, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Don't want it to look ugly. There you go, look at that. Almost perfect fit. Stick some of that hot glue behind it, hold that in there. Okay, and we'll just turn it around so we've got the wire in the middle, like that. And then we can lay the wire down and make it look a lot better coming inside the machine too. So behind it to hold it. And you get crazy on that, it's not going anywhere. And then, in my opinion, we just push those wires down nicely there. You can lay some hot glue just to hold that from looking too ugly. Wait till it cool down a bit, and I'll just push it down there, and away we go. Oh, hold it for a second while it cools out. And then you're not going to see this big wire poking through the window. Put another one down there on that little sticker, whatever that sticker's, put my name on it. And dab, dab, dab. There we go. Okay. Well, I've got the hot glue gun. So that's all I'm going to do for the lights, underneath, back, front for now. We'll figure out what we'll do later. I've got an array of different spotlights I can choose from. Figure out how we do that nice and tidy. Simply, I think we're going to have to really nicely strap it down the inside. I think it's the only option. I can't see a way to get it through here. It's unfortunate. But anyway, let's carry on and finish up what we have got to do. So again, put another wee blob. Not going to be able to see much you guys on this one, sorry, but put a wee blob there. Into the corner, go through that window, about there I think. That'll hold that down. It's not going to bloody be in the way. Okay, and then remembering we've got, just hold it down until it cools off, but that glue is pretty hot. And it takes a second to hold stuff while it cools off. It will be good. And when it cools off a bit, you can stab your finger in it. Don't do it while it's piping hot, you might learn a lesson. Well, I'm sure people out there will say, no, don't worry about that. Anyway, with that stuck down, got a few cobwebs. And that's that one on that side there. Got our one going beneath, which will come out beside the machine here. So underneath. So we know. And this is obviously the problem once you connect that or unplug it. We can easily figure out which one to plug back into. Trial and error. So I'll put her out of the way now because we've got to install some other bits and pieces and it's just going to be in our way. So let's do that. See how you guys can see in there, I don't know. I'm going to put this down here, in this side here, against the, just use that 3M to stick it onto the body itself, and then that will easily go into the LED plug on the side of the machine. The next one coming, we haven't installed the UBEC from the battery. We're going to try using an alternate power source to power the lights, but that'll be the next one. It's always nice to see what you've got options wise. Let's get that little, use your nails, get that little bit of paper off because we can put this somewhere where it's going to be out of your way and safe, and then we can wrap up our extra lengths. So for me, I'm going to put it down here. Well, I'm going to put it right there so I can get to it. I'm going to remove this little check sticker. Now we're going to stick it onto the board here where we can easily wrap really easily get to it there. So I like that. That's good. I'm going to see it through the window and the rest of that, but okay, it's alright for me. And that way you can grab your extra bundle here. And I just like to twist them up like that. Not tight because you know I'll stretch out these little wires. And then you can, and they give you plenty of these tiny little cable ties to do this kind of stuff. Whether or not you have the kit, want the kit for the lights or not, just get some extra bits and pieces. And I've chucked them in the bag. And we will chuck that around there. Catch all those bits of wire together. All good as it looks. And just pull that down there nice and tight. Hold it out the way. Later on, we can actually put another one around here and keep it right down out there. But for now, we'll just see what, in case we have to change the wires and things. We'll just lock them together so we've got miles and miles. And miles of cable. Need this extra tool here. Of course, you don't want all these annoying tags running around inside. Okay, then I'm just going to stick a bit of glue on there to hold that wire down in, and stop flopping around. You don't want anything to get sucked up into the main gears of the machine, into the motor, anything like that. So these are always good little precautionary measures. Back down there for a second until it cools off. Right, still trying to lift. Finger on it. There you go. Pull the shit off my finger and we're done. We just all nicely, just so we haven't got a mess. Remember, we're keeping these ones out here so we can get to them later. Obviously you're going to want this available to connect your canopy on and off. Okay, so lights are done as far as I'm concerned for now, for what we want. So perhaps this would be a good place to stop the video, and as in part 2, so we'll keep recording but we'll break it up for you guys just so it doesn't get too boring long.
Can you show us the light?
Plugged in, turned on?
Yes.
Okay, so the boss says before we sign off, lights. So let's see the lights. So we might plug in the controller light because that's not part of the lights. We're not going to plug in the dash. I'm going to slide in here and just sit in the machine. You can just sit it. I'll show you how this all happens later on. And this is just so now we can show myself, plug in the LEDs, turn the power on again, and that will show you guys the light. The ones will strap the battery. You haven't put the bit of holder on yet, but we can just hold it in there with the strap for now. Oh, it's going to be a little bit gammy fingers while we just do this. Shove it up there, lock it in there. Remote, correct one hopefully. Oh shush. Just not happy with one of those batteries. There you go. One load of batteries are in there. There's one not a bit playing up. So they were recently charged, so they shouldn't be flat. Okay. Plug her in, or whatever. Okay, so it's got a flat battery obviously in there. And oh, I might as well plug in the front light for you too. So you got your light on the back there. Seems we did plug it into the wrong one after all that, which means the slow flashing one's this fella, eh? We'll find out. We'll plug her in and we'll see. Tiny little plugs, quite amazing little things actually. And we'll see what, this is what I mean, trial and error. You just go and you're plugging in, you're unplugging in, you're like, does that one work, does this one work? That one do. Plus you've got the function switch, which I see they actually haven't set up on the transmitter for us here. So we'll get to that. I'll show you how to do that. What have we got going on there? Yeah, so we've got the fade light. So we've just made the mistake plugging these two in wrong. But we can change it over when we rebuild it, no mechanics. This faster one should be here. Underneath, the slow one, which we can change around obviously, back here. And solid light on the front. So I see they just haven't hooked that up as far as changing the lights. So what we will do is do a tutorial on the app. We'll show you how to set that all up, channels, give the channel selection switches and functions. Okay. So moving on, we will sign off. Part 1 done. Thanks very much for watching us. Sorry, a bit of a long one. Join us in part 2. I promise it'll be faster. We'll put it together and you get to see it when it's finished. Thanks guys. See ya.